The door exploded inward. Corporal Danny Hayes hit the floor as splinters rained across his apartment. His hand shot toward the pistol on the coffee table, but froze mid-reach. Standing in the doorway was a Keylor, 8 feet of scaled muscle, forearms, each thick as a tree trunk, eyes like burning coals set in a reptilian skull that had cracked human battleships. The thing's breath came in deep, rattling hisses that filled the room with the smell of sulfur and death. Danny's heart hammered against his ribs. Every instinct screamed, "Run!" but his legs wouldn't move. He'd seen what Keylor warriors did to soldiers. He'd pulled bodies from the wreckage at New Gibraltar, bodies that weren't whole anymore. The creature stepped inside. Each footfall shook the floorboards. Its claws scraped against the doorframe, leaving deep gouges in the wood. Danny Hayes. The voice was like gravel grinding through a meat processor. It knew his name. Danny's fingers inched toward the gun.
Yeah.
That's me. The Keylor lowered itself, massive shoulders hunching to fit through the doorway. Its eyes locked onto Danny's hand. Do not. Danny pulled his hand back. Sweat ran down his spine. You killed my brother. The alien's head tilted, studying him. Battle of Meridian Station. You commanded Artillery Battery 7. Danny's mouth went dry. Meridian Station. 3 months ago. They'd shelled Keylor positions for 16 hours straight. Command said they'd killed hundreds. I was following orders, Danny said. Yes. The Keylor took another step closer. Now it stood directly over him, blotting out the ceiling light. Its shadow swallowed everything. My brother died with honor. He spoke your name before the end. Danny's brain couldn't process this. Keylor didn't talk. They killed, they burned. They turned planets into graveyards. What do you want? The creature's 4 arms moved, and Danny flinched. But instead of tearing him apart, the Keylor reached into a pouch at its side. It pulled something out, something small, a data chip. The alien held it between 2 claws, careful not to crush it. My brother had hatchlings. 3. Their mother died in your bombing. They are alone. Danny stared at the chip. His thoughts raced but went nowhere. Keylor law is clear, the warrior continued. Orphaned hatchlings must be claimed by kin. But I am the last of our bloodline. I am warrior caste. I cannot leave the front. I cannot raise them. The chip extended toward Danny. Closer, closer. You ended my brother's line. Human law speaks of responsibility, of debt. The Keylor's eyes burned brighter. I come to collect that debt. Danny looked up at the creature towering over him, at the chip, at the door hanging off its hinges. You want me to raise your brother's kids? Yes. The word hung in the air like a grenade with the pin pulled. Danny pushed himself up from the floor. His legs shook but held. You're insane. The Keylor didn't move. The chip remained extended between its claws, steady as stone.
I'm human, Danny said.
I don't know anything about raising Keylor hatchlings. I don't know what they eat, how they think. Hell, I've spent 3 years learning how to kill your kind, not babysit them. You will learn. The alien's voice carried no doubt, no room for argument. Danny laughed. The sound came out harsh and brittle. And what happens when your people find out, when some Keylor patrol discovers 3 hatchlings living with the guy who blew their father into atoms? They'll burn this whole city. No. The warrior's head shook slowly. The chip contains genetic markers, proof of lineage. Any Keylor who scans it will know these hatchlings are under blood debt protection. To harm them or their guardian would violate the oldest laws, laws older than your species. That's insane, Danny repeated. That is honor. The Keylor stepped closer. Danny's back hit the wall. My brother spoke of you in his final transmission. He said you fought with cunning, with precision. He said you understood sacrifice. One massive hand pressed against the wall beside Danny's head. The plaster cracked. He said if he had to die, he was grateful it was by a warrior's hand and not a coward's weapon. Danny's throat tightened. He said that? Yes. He also said you would refuse this request. The alien's eyes narrowed. He said humans value individual freedom above duty, above honor. He said you would choose the easy path. Heat flared in Danny's chest. Your brother didn't know me. Then prove him wrong. They stared at each other, predator and prey, enemy and enemy. The moment stretched until Danny thought it might snap. He grabbed the chip. The Creolor's hand opened immediately. The small device felt cold against Danny's palm. Smooth? Alien. Where are they? Danny asked. Outside. The warrior turned toward the ruined doorway. I will bring them. Wait. Danny's mind raced. I need answers. What do they eat? How old are they? Do they speak English? Do they even know what happened to their parents? The Creolor paused. They eat what you eat. Protein. Vegetables. They are young. 7 solar cycles. Old enough to understand death. Not old enough to understand war. It looked back. They speak Creole and broken English. Their father taught them. He believed knowing the enemy's tongue was strength. 7 years old, Danny muttered. 3 7-year-olds. Yes, and you're just dropping them off? No manual? No guide? The alien's posture shifted. For the first time, Danny saw something that might have been pain flicker across its features. I am warrior caste. I know only battle, only duty, only honor. Its voice dropped lower. I do not know gentleness. I do not know patience. These hatchlings need more than a warrior. They need someone who can teach them to live, not just survive. Why me specifically? Because my brother chose you. The Creolor moved through the doorway. Because in his final moments, when he could have cursed your name, he instead spoke it with respect. That means something. The warrior descended the stairs. Danny heard each heavy footfall echo through the building. He looked down at the chip in his hand. Such a small thing, such an impossible weight. His neighbors would freak out. Command would court-martial him if they found out. The media would crucify him. Housing an enemy during wartime? Political suicide. Social suicide? Possibly actual suicide. But his hand closed around the chip anyway, because maybe the Creolor brother was wrong. Maybe humans could choose duty over comfort. Maybe honor wasn't just an alien concept. Or maybe Danny was just too stubborn to let a dead lizard's final words be right about him. The stairs creaked. Danny moved to the doorway and looked down. 3 small figures climbed toward him, each barely 4 feet tall, scaled like their uncle but smaller, smoother. Their eyes were wider. Less fire, more fear. They saw him and stopped. The warrior stood behind them, one hand on the smallest one's shoulder. This is Danny Hayes. He is your guardian now. The middle hatchling's mouth opened, rows of tiny teeth. You killed our father. Yes, Danny said, because lying seemed worse. Uncle says we must live with you. Yeah, that's the deal. The smallest one stepped forward. Its voice was high, uncertain. Will you kill us too? Danny's chest tightened. He knelt down, eye level with the hatchlings. No. I'm going to keep you alive. That's the whole point. Promise? The small one asked. Danny looked at the Creolor warrior, at the 3 orphans on his doorstep, at the chip in his hand that had just turned his entire life inside out. Yeah, kid, I promise. The warrior left without another word, just turned and walked down the stairs, out the building, into the night. No goodbye, no final instructions. Just Gone. Danny stood in his doorway with 3 alien children staring up at him. The silence stretched. One of the hatchlings shifted its weight. Claws scraped against the floor. "Okay," Danny said. "Names. I need names." The tallest one spoke first. Its voice carried an edge despite the youth. "I am Kravik. This is Shira. That is Tanak." It pointed to the middle and smallest hatchlings in turn. "Right, Kravik, Shira, Tanak." Danny stepped aside. "Come in. Watch the door. It's broken." They filed past him, moving with careful precision. Their heads swiveled, taking in everything. The couch, the television, the scattered beer cans Danny hadn't cleaned up, the gun still sitting on the coffee table. Tanak moved toward it. "No." Danny crossed the room in 3 strides and snatched the pistol. "Rule 1. Don't touch anything that can kill you." "We are Creolor," Kravik said. "We are not fragile. You're 7. You're fragile until I say otherwise." Danny ejected the magazine and cleared the chamber. He locked both pieces in the safe under his desk. "Rule 2. When I say no, it means no. Not maybe. Not negotiate. No." Shira's eyes narrowed. "Our father said humans were weak, that they hide behind rules because they fear true strength." Danny turned to face her. "Your father was a warrior. I respect that. But he's dead and you're here. So maybe strength isn't everything." He grabbed his jacket off the chair. "Come on. We need food." "We are not hungry," Kravik said. "When did you last eat?" Silence. "That's what I thought." Danny headed for the door. "There's a grocery store 2 blocks away. We're getting supplies." The hatchlings didn't move. Danny stopped. "What? People will see us?" Tanak said quietly. "They will be afraid."
Yeah.
"They will. They might hurt us." Danny pulled out the data chip. He held it up. "This says you're under my protection. Anyone who touches you answers to me, and to every Creolor warrior who honors the blood debt." He pocketed the chip. "But more importantly, this is my neighborhood. I grew up here. People know me. They trust me. So if I say you're okay, you're okay." "You have much faith in your tribe," Kravik said. "We'll find out." Danny opened what remained of his door. "Move." The night air was cool. Streetlights cast orange pools across the pavement. A car passed, then another. Normal city sounds. Normal city life. Then someone screamed. A woman across the street dropped her groceries. Apples rolled into the gutter. Her hand shot to her mouth. Eyes locked on the hatchlings. "Evening, Mrs. Patterson," Danny called out. "New neighbors. They're with me." "Mrs. Patterson" didn't respond. She just stood there, frozen. More people noticed. A man walking his dog stopped dead. The dog barked once, then whimpered and tried to hide behind its owner's legs. 2 teenagers on the corner pulled out their phones. "Keep walking," Danny told the hatchlings. "Eyes forward, don't react." "They fear us," Shira said. "Yeah. Get used to it." They reached the grocery store. The automatic doors slid open. Fluorescent lights flooded over them. The store was half full. Late-night shoppers grabbing milk and bread and whatever else people needed. Every head turned. Conversations died mid-sentence. A child started crying. A stock clerk dropped a box of cereal. The manager stood behind the checkout counter, hand moving towards something under the register. Danny raised his voice. "Anyone got a problem? Talk to me. These kids are under my care. They're not here to cause trouble." "They're Creolor," someone said from aisle 3. "I can see that. Creolor killed my cousin at New Gibraltar." Danny's jaw tightened. "Creolor killed a lot of people. Humans killed a lot of Creolor. War does that." He grabbed a shopping cart, but these 3 didn't kill anyone. They're orphans. They need food and a place to sleep. "That's it. You are harboring the enemy," another voice called out. "I'm following the law." blood debt protection. It's recognized by both governments under the ceasefire protocols. Danny started down aisle 1. The hatchlings followed close behind. Anyone wants to challenge that, call the military police. My number's in the directory. No one moved, no one called. But the stairs continued, heavy, hostile, burning into their backs. Danny grabbed rice, beans, chicken, vegetables, basic staples. The hatchlings stayed silent, but their shoulders hunched. Their eyes darted to every person who passed. At the checkout, the cashier was a kid. Couldn't be more than 19. His hands shook as he scanned items. "You good?" Danny asked. "Yeah, fine. Just." The kid swallowed hard. "My brother's deployed. Out near the—"
Yeah.
The kid bagged the groceries. His eyes flicked to the hatchlings. "They really orphans?" "Really orphans." "That sucks." "Yeah, it does." The total came. They left. Outside, Tonic looked up at him. "Why did you defend us?" "We are your enemy." "Your kids," Danny said. "That's different, is it?" Kravik asked. "On the battlefield, age does not matter. Only strength. Only victory." Danny stopped walking. He knelt down, meeting Kravik's eyes. "On the battlefield, yeah. Kill or be killed. I get that. I lived that." He glanced at each of them. "But this isn't a battlefield. This is a grocery store on a Tuesday night. And you three aren't warriors. You're scared kids who just lost everything." He stood. "So yeah, it's different, and anyone who can't see that can take it up with me." They walked back to the apartment in silence. Behind them, Danny heard whispers. Phones clicking. Tomorrow, this would be all over the news. But that was tomorrow's problem. Tonight, he had 3 orphans to feed. Danny unlocked his apartment. The broken door hung at an angle, useless. He'd need to fix that tomorrow. Tonight, it would have to wait. The hatchlings filed inside and stood in the center of the living room, waiting, like soldiers awaiting orders. "Sit," Danny said, unpacking groceries in the kitchen. "Couch, chairs, floor. I don't care. Just relax." They didn't move. Danny glanced over. "What now? Where do we sleep?" Shira asked. "I've got 1 bedroom. You 3 can take it. I'll crash on the couch." "That is your territory," Kravik said. "We cannot claim it. It's a bed, not territory." Among Kraylor, claiming another's rest space is a challenge, an insult. Danny set down the chicken. "Look, I'm tired. You're tired. I don't have 3 extra beds sitting around, so you're taking the bedroom, and I'm taking the couch." "That's not an insult. That's logistics." Tanak stepped forward. "What if we do not wish to be separated from you? Why would that matter? You are our guardian now, our protector. If we sleep apart, how will you protect us?" Danny hadn't thought of that. He rubbed his face. "Fine, we'll figure something out. But first, food. You said you eat what I eat. That true?" "Yes," Shira said. "Protein and plant matter. Our biology adapted during the old migrations. We can process most organic compounds." "Good, because I'm making stir-fry, and that's what we've got." Danny pulled out a pan and started cooking. Oil heated, chicken sizzled. He chopped vegetables with quick, efficient cuts. Military habits died hard. The hatchlings watched every movement. "You are skilled," Kravik observed. "Your cuts are precise. No wasted motion. Army taught me to cook fast. Can't afford slow when you're feeding 100 soldiers on rotation. You were a warrior."
Yeah.
"Still am, technically. Just on leave." Danny stirred the pan. "Your uncle mentioned Meridian Station. That was my last deployment before they rotated me home." "You commanded artillery," Shira said. "You killed from distance like a coward." Danny's hand tightened on the spatula. "Artillery isn't cowardice. It's strategy. We soften targets so infantry doesn't get shredded. That's smart warfare. Creolor fight face to face, claw and fang. That is true combat. Creolor also lose a lot of soldiers that way. Danny plated the food. Honor doesn't mean much when you're dead. He set 3 plates on the coffee table. Steam rose from the stir-fry. The hatchlings approached slowly, studying the food like it might explode. Tanakh picked up a piece of chicken with his claws, sniffed it, took a small bite. His eyes widened. "This is good," he said quietly. Shira and Kravik tried theirs. The tension in their shoulders eased slightly. They ate faster, hungrier than they'd admitted. Danny made his own plate and sat on the floor across from them. They ate in silence. The only sound was claws scraping against ceramic and the distant hum of traffic outside. "How long since your father died?" Danny asked. 43 days, Kravik said. "Our mother died 7 days before that. Uncle found us in the refuge camps. He said we would come here. To Earth. To you? And you just accepted that? We had no choice. Creole law is absolute. Uncle is warrior caste. He cannot abandon his duty. We would have been sent to the labor camps otherwise." "Labor camps? For orphans without kin, where hatchlings work until they are old enough to choose a caste." Shira's voice went flat. "Many do not survive to choosing age." Danny's appetite vanished. "That's barbaric. That is necessity. Resources are limited. The strong survive. The weak serve your kids, not resources. We are Creolor," Kravik said. "George's strength defines us. Even hatchlings must prove worth." Danny set his plate down. "Listen to me. All 3 of you. While you're here, you're not proving anything. You're not fighting for scraps. You're not earning the right to exist." He met each of their eyes. "Your kids. You get to be kids. Safe, fed, protected." Tanakh's voice was barely a whisper. "Why? Because that's what kids deserve. Even enemy kids? Even enemy kids." They stared at him. Confusion and something else flickered in their eyes. Something that might have been hope. A knock echoed through the apartment. Sharp, authoritative. Everyone froze. Danny stood slowly. "Stay here." He approached the broken door. A figure stood on the other side. Military uniform. Colonel's insignia. Danny's stomach dropped. "Colonel Brighton," Danny said. Brighton's eyes moved past Danny to the hatchlings. His expression hardened. "We need to talk." "It's late, sir." "This isn't a social call." Brighton stepped inside without invitation. His gaze swept the apartment, the broken door, the hatchlings huddled by the coffee table, the scattered groceries. "I got 15 phone calls in the last hour. Civilians reporting Creolor presence in a residential area. Imagine my surprise when I traced the address and found it was yours. I can explain. You're harboring enemy combatants, their children. Under blood debt protection, it's legal under the ceasefire accords." "Legal and smart are different things, Corporal." Brighton moved closer to the hatchlings. They pressed together, eyes wide. "Do you have any idea what this looks like? A human soldier raising Creolor orphans during an active war? The war's on ceasefire. Ceasefire isn't peace. People are scared, angry. They lost family, friends, and now they see the enemy walking around buying groceries like nothing happened." Brighton's voice dropped. "This is a powder keg, Hayes, and you just lit the fuse. What would you have me do? Throw them out? Send them back to labor camps? I'd have you think about the bigger picture, about how this affects morale, unit cohesion, public trust." Danny straightened. "With respect, sir, I made a promise. The hatchling's uncle invoked blood debt. I accepted. That's binding to the Creolor, not to us, to me." Brighton studied him for a long moment. The room felt smaller, tighter. Then the colonel sighed. You always were stubborn. Even in basic, you wouldn't back down once you committed to something. Is that a problem, sir? It's going to be. For you. For them. For everyone involved. Brighton moved toward the door. I can't order you to send them away. The law's on your side. But I'm telling you, as someone who's seen what war does to people, this won't end well. Someone's going to get hurt. I'll take that risk. It's not just your risk anymore, Corporal. You made it theirs too. Brighton gestured to the hatchlings. Hope you're ready for that responsibility. He left. His footsteps faded down the stairs. Danny turned back to the three hatchlings. They watched him with those burning eyes. Is he right? Tanak asked. Will someone hurt us? Danny looked at the broken door, at the night pressing against the windows, at the fear in three small faces. Not if I can help it, he said. But even he heard the uncertainty in his own voice. Morning came too fast. Danny woke to sunlight cutting through the blinds and the smell of something burning. He shot off the couch. Smoke drifted from the kitchen. The hatchlings stood around the stove, staring at a pan filled with blackened eggs and what might have once been toast. Tonic held a spatula like a weapon. Shira poked at the smoking mess with a fork. What are you doing? Danny asked. Making breakfast, Kravik said. You fed us. Honor demands we reciprocate. By burning down my apartment, we attempted to follow standard human food preparation protocols. The results were unexpected. Danny crossed to the stove and shut off the burner. He opened a window. Next time, wake me up first. You were resting. Warriors require recovery time. I'm not that kind of warrior anymore. Danny dumped the ruined food in the trash. And you three need supervision before you torch the place. A buzzing sound cut through the room. Danny's phone. He checked the screen. 47 missed calls. 63 messages. His inbox was exploding. News vans were parked outside. He could see them through the window. Cameras, reporters, a crowd gathering on the sidewalk. We have become a spectacle, Shira observed, looking out the window beside him.
Yeah.
Danny scrolled through the messages. Half were death threats. The other half were worse. People calling him a traitor, a sympathizer. Some suggested ways he should die. Creative ways. One message stood out from his sister Linda. 2 words. Call me now. Danny dialed. She picked up on the first ring. Are you insane? Linda's voice cracked through the speaker. Danny, what were you thinking?
Morning to you, too.
Don't joke. This is everywhere. Every news station, every social media platform. You're trending for all the wrong reasons. I made a promise to a Creolor warrior. Danny, they killed Mom. The words hit like a physical blow. Danny's hand tightened on the phone. I know. Do you? Because it doesn't look like it. It looks like you forgot, like you're spitting on her grave by raising the children of the things that murdered her. These kids didn't kill her. They weren't even born when the war started. They're still Creolor, still the enemy. They're orphans, Linda, 7 years old. Their parents are dead, just like I. Then Linda's voice came back, softer but no less sharp. I can't support this, and I won't lie to protect you when people ask. You're on your own. The line went dead. Danny stared at the phone. The hatchlings watched him from across the room. Your sister does not approve, Kravik said. No, she doesn't. Will she bring others against us? She won't have to. Others are already coming. Danny pocketed the phone. Get dressed. We need to leave. Where will we go? School? The hatchlings exchanged glances. We are not enrolled in human education systems, Shira said. You are now. I made calls last night while you slept. There's a program for refugee children. They'll take you. We are not refugees. We are Creolor. You're both. And you need education, structure, something normal. Danny grabbed his jacket. Plus, staying here all day with reporters outside is asking for trouble. School's safer. They descended through the building's back entrance. The crowd out front hadn't noticed yet. Danny led the hatchlings through side streets, taking the long route. People stared everywhere they went. Some pulled their children closer, others took photos. One man spat on the sidewalk as they passed. The school was a converted community center, temporary classrooms, refugee children from a dozen war zones, human and otherwise. A teacher met them at the entrance. Her name tag read, Helen Briggs. "You must be Danny Hayes," she said. Her eyes moved to the hatchlings. Something flickered there. Not fear, not quite acceptance either. "And you three are Kravik, Shira, and Tanak." "Yes," Kravik said. "Welcome. We've prepared a space for you." The other children had been brief. She gestured inside. "Mr. Hayes, we'll need you to fill out some paperwork." Danny followed her to an office while the hatchlings were led to a classroom. Through the window he watched them enter. 20 other kids looked up. Silence fell like a hammer. Then a small human girl raised her hand. "Are you really Creolor?" "Yes," Shira said. "Oh, I'm from Proxima Station. The Creolor evacuated us when the reactor went critical. They saved 3,000 people." Another kid spoke up. "My dad fought Creolor at the Belt Colonies. He said they were honorable, that they gave us time to retrieve our wounded before resuming fire." Not everyone was welcoming. A boy in the back crossed his arms. "My uncle died fighting your kind. Our parents died fighting yours," Krauby replied. "Perhaps we are even." The teacher intervened, redirecting the conversation to lessons. Danny turned away from the window. Helen handed him forms. "This is brave, what you're doing." Or stupid. Sometimes they're the same thing. She sat across from him. "I've worked with war orphans for 6 years. Human, Creolor, Viridian, others. They all carry the same weight, the same loss. Your sister's wrong, you know. You heard about that?" Everyone's heard about everything. Social media moves fast. Helen tapped the desk. "But she's wrong. These children aren't their parents, aren't their species' crimes. They're just kids trying to survive something they didn't choose. Try telling that to the people sending me death threats." "I will. I've already started. Posted about it this morning. Got 2,000 shares so far." She smiled. "You're not alone in this, Mr. Hayes. More people support you than you think. They're just quieter than the angry ones." Danny filled out the forms. Emergency contacts, medical information, dietary needs, normal things, mundane things that felt absurd given the circumstances. A commotion erupted from the classroom, shouting. Something crashed. Danny was on his feet and moving before Helen could react. He burst through the door. Kravik had another boy pinned against the wall. The boy's nose was bleeding. Other children had scattered to the corners. "What happened?" Danny demanded. "He called our mother a monster," Kravik snarled. "Said she deserved to die." The boy struggled. "She was a monster. She killed hundreds at New Gibraltar." "Let him go," Danny said. Kravik didn't move. Now Kravik. Slowly, the hatchling released the boy. Kravik's hands were shaking, not from fear, from rage. Danny knelt beside the boy. "You okay?" "He attacked me, I know, and that was wrong. But so was what you said." Danny helped the boy to his feet. "Words have consequences. Remember that." He turned to Kravik. "Outside, all 3 of you." They filed out into the hallway. Danny closed the door behind them. "First day," Danny said. "Not even an hour in, and you're already fighting. He insulted our mother's memory. He's a kid who lost someone too. He's angry, hurt, just like you." Danny leaned against the wall. "You want to survive here? You need to be better than your anger, stronger than your pride. Our father said strength is everything. Your father was wrong. The words came out harsher than Danny intended. Strength gets you killed. Control keeps you alive. There's a difference. Tonic looked up at him. Will you send us away now? No. Why not? We have brought you shame, trouble. We are more burden than worth. Danny crouched down to their level. Because I made a promise, and because you three deserve a chance, even if you don't believe it yet. The classroom door opened. Helen stood there. The other boys' parents are coming. This is going to get complicated. Yeah, Danny said, it is. The parents arrived within 20 minutes. A man and woman, both in business clothes. Their faces were carved from stone, cold, unforgiving. Danny met them in the office with Helen present. The hatchlings waited outside under a teacher's supervision. Your Creolor attacked our son, the father said. His name was Greg Morrison. Drew blood, traumatized him. He provoked them, Danny replied. Said their mother deserved to die. Maybe she did. Morrison leaned forward. My brother died at New Gibraltar, burned alive when Creolor plasma tore through his ship. So yeah, maybe she deserved exactly what she got. Danny's jaw tightened. Your son is 10. He doesn't get to weaponize your grief. And you don't get to lecture me about grief. You're the one playing house with the enemy. Helen raised her hand. Let's everyone take a breath. This situation is delicate. Delicate? Morrison's wife spoke up. Her voice shook. Those things shouldn't be in a school with human children. They're dangerous. They're children, Helen said firmly. Displaced by war? Just like the others here. They're not like the others. They're Creolor? And that makes them what exactly? Danny asked. Less deserving of education, safety, basic human decency? It makes them a threat. Based on what? Their species? Because if we're judging kids by what their parents did, we've got a lot of human children we should be condemning too. Morrison stood abruptly. We're pulling Marcus from this school, and we're filing a complaint with the district. Those creatures either go or every other parent pulls their kids. See how your little refugee program survives then? They left. The door slammed hard enough to rattle the frame. Helen sighed. That went well. He's going to make good on that threat, Danny said. Probably. But he's not speaking for everyone. Most of the parents here understand what we're trying to do. She pulled up her tablet. I've already gotten 6 messages of support since the incident. Parents saying their kids came home talking about the Catherlore hatchlings, asking questions, learning, and how many messages calling for them to be removed? Helen hesitated. 15. Danny rubbed his face. This is a nightmare. This is progress. Messy, ugly progress. But progress. Helen stood. Go home. Take them with you. Let things cool down overnight. We'll reassess tomorrow. Danny collected the hatchlings. They walked home in silence. The reporters were still there, but Danny pushed through without comment. Cameras flashed. Questions flew like bullets. Inside the apartment, Danny finally let himself collapse on the couch. His phone buzzed again. More messages, more anger, more threats. One caught his eye. A video link. He clicked it. A news anchor appeared on screen. Professional, polished. The story of Corporal Danny Hayes and 3 Creolor orphans has divided the nation. Some call him a hero, others a traitor. Tonight we have someone with a unique perspective. The camera cut to a Creolor, not a warrior, someone older. Robes instead of armor? The subtitle read, Ambassador Khalif, Creolor Diplomatic Corps. The human Hayes has honored an ancient tradition, Khalif said. The translator gave his voice a resonant quality. Blood debt is sacred among our people. When he accepted guardianship, he accepted responsibility not just to these hatchlings, but to our entire civilization. His actions speak to the possibility of peace, of understanding between our species. The anchor leaned forward. But critics say housing enemy children during wartime sends the wrong message. War creates orphans on both sides, pain on both sides. If we cannot show mercy to children, what hope is there for anything else? Keleth's eyes blazed with intensity. The human haze is braver than many warriors I have known. He risks his standing, his safety, his peace for children who are not his own. That is not weakness. That is the highest form of strength. The video ended. Kravik watched from across the room. The ambassador speaks truth. You have sacrificed much for us. Haven't sacrificed anything yet, Danny muttered. You have sacrificed peace, comfort, your sister's approval, your community's trust. Kravik approached slowly. Why? Because someone had to. That is not an answer. Danny set the phone down. My mom died 3 years ago. Creolor attack on a civilian transport. She was a nurse, unarmed, innocent. He met Kravik's eyes. I hated your kind for that. Spent months fantasizing about revenge. Then I got deployed. Got my chance to kill Creolor. The room was silent. Even the city noise outside seemed to fade. Did it help? Shira asked quietly. The killing? No. Just made me tired. Danny stood and moved to the window. Your uncle showed up and gave me a choice. Continue the cycle. Let hate win. Or try something different, something harder. He turned back to them. I chose harder because maybe, just maybe, it leads somewhere better than more death. Tonic moved closer. Our father said humans were weak, that they could not understand honor. But you are not weak. Your father fought hard, died honorably, according to your uncle. But he was wrong about humans, just like humans are wrong about Creolor. Danny gestured to all three of them. You're not monsters. You're scared kids, just like human kids would be. A brick crashed through the window. Glass exploded inward. The hatchlings dropped to the floor instantly. Combat reflexes, even at 7 years old. Danny rushed to the window. A group of people stood below. 20, maybe 30. Some held signs, others held rocks. Get out, traitor, someone shouted. Send them back. Creolor scum don't belong here. More rocks flew. Another window shattered. Then another. Danny pulled the hatchlings away from the glass. Bedroom. Now, stay low. They scrambled toward the back of the apartment. Danny grabbed his phone and dialed emergency services. 911, what's your emergency? This is Corporal Danny Hayes. I have a hostile crowd outside my building. They're throwing rocks, breaking windows. I have 3 minors in my care who are in danger. Are the minors human? Danny's blood went cold. Does that matter? Sir, I need to assess the threat level properly. They're Creolor, under blood debt protection. Legal guardianship. Send someone now. A pause. Too long. Stay inside and away from windows. The line went dead. Danny moved to the bedroom. The hatchlings were pressed against the far wall. Tonic was shaking. Shira's eyes blazed with fear and fury. Kravik stood in front of his siblings, protective despite being the same size. Are they coming to kill us? Tonic asked. No, I won't let them. You are one human. They are many. Yeah, but I'm the one who knows how to fight. Sirens wailed in the distance, growing closer. The crowd below jeered louder. Something heavy hit the front door. Wood splintered. Danny positioned himself between the door and the hatchlings. His hands were steady. His breathing was controlled. The crowd was getting bolder, but they hadn't crossed the threshold yet. They would, though. Danny could feel it. The rage building. The mob mentality taking over. His phone buzzed. A text from Colonel Brighton. Stay put. I'm coming. Another crash. The door buckled. Danny looked at the 3 hatchlings huddled in his bedroom, at their wide eyes, at their trembling shoulders. He'd made a promise. and he intended to keep it. The door exploded inward for the second time in 2 days. But it wasn't the mob. It was Colonel Brighton with 6 military police officers. They formed a barrier between the apartment and the crowd below. "Disperse immediately!" Brighton's voice boomed through a megaphone. "This is a lawful residence under military protection. Anyone who remains will be arrested." The crowd hesitated. Rocks lowered. Signs wavered. I said disperse. Slowly, reluctantly, people began to leave. Not everyone. A core group remained, angry, defiant. But police reinforcements arrived. Uniformed officers created a perimeter. The remaining protesters were escorted away. Brighton entered the apartment. He surveyed the damage: broken windows, shattered glass, splintered furniture. His expression was unreadable. "You okay?" he asked. "We're alive," Danny said. Brighton moved to the bedroom doorway. The hatchling stared at him with those burning eyes. "You 3 hurt?" "No, sir," Kravik said. "Good." Brighton turned back to Danny. "Pack essentials. You can't stay here. I'm not running. You're not running. You're being smart. This place isn't secure. 1 broken door. Ground floor. No protection." He pulled out his tablet. "I'm moving you to base housing. Military compound. Guarded entry. No civilians without clearance. That's charity. That's logistics. You're still under my command. Still my responsibility." Brighton's voice softened slightly. "And despite my objections, what you're doing matters." The ambassador's speech went viral. 50 million views in 6 hours. It's changing the conversation. People still want us dead, some people, but others are listening, thinking, questioning. Brighton gestured to the hatchlings. "Those 3 are becoming symbols for peace, for something better than endless war. Like it or not, you're part of something bigger now." Danny looked at the 3 small figures in his bedroom. They'd been thrust into his life less than 48 hours ago. Now they were at the center of a political firestorm. "What happens next?" Danny asked. "You keep doing what you're doing. Raise them, protect them. Show people that Creolor and humans can coexist." Brighton headed for the door. "But you do it from somewhere safer. Transport leaves in 30 minutes. Be ready." He left with the MPs. Danny turned to the hatchlings. "You heard him. Pack whatever you want to keep." They had nothing to pack. Everything they owned had come with them in the clothes on their backs. 25 minutes later, they were in a military transport. The drive to the base took 40 minutes. Checkpoints, security gates, armed guards at every corner, but also normalcy. Families walking, children playing, life continuing despite the war. Their new home was a duplex on the edge of the residential sector. 2 bedrooms, reinforced walls, a small yard with a fence. The hatchlings explored cautiously, touching walls, testing doors, making sure it was real. "This is ours?" Tanak asked. "Yeah, this is ours. For how long?" "As long as we need it." Shira stood at the window overlooking the yard. "There are human children outside, playing." "Yeah." "Base housing is full of military families. Will they fear us? Probably. At first," Danny joined her at the window. "But they'll get used to you. Kids adapt faster than adults." A knock at the door. Danny tensed, but it was just a neighbor, a woman holding a casserole dish. She smiled nervously. "Hi, I'm Janet. From next door, heard you were moving in. Thought I'd bring dinner, welcome wagon and all that." Her eyes moved to the hatchlings. She didn't flinch. "You must be Kravik, Shira, and Tanik. My daughter told me about you. She's in the refugee school program, too." "Your daughter is not afraid?" Kravik asked. "She's curious." "That's different." Janet set the casserole on the counter. "Look, I won't pretend this is normal. It's weird. It's complicated, but my husband's deployed on a Crealor border world right now. If something happened to him, if our daughter ended up alone, I'd hope someone would take care of her, even if that someone was Crealor." She left. The casserole steamed on the counter, chicken and rice, comfort food. They ate together, the first meal in their new home. It was quiet, peaceful, normal in a way nothing had been since the warrior knocked on Danny's door. After dinner, Danny set up sleeping arrangements. The hatchlings took one bedroom. He took the other, but within an hour all three appeared in his doorway. "We cannot sleep," Kravik said. "Bad dreams?" "No dreams, just silence. It is too quiet, too empty." Danny understood. Combat veterans knew that feeling. The absence of danger felt more dangerous than danger itself. "Come on." He grabbed blankets and pillows. They'd built a nest in the living room, all four of them together, close enough to hear each other breathe. Tanak curled against Danny's side, small, vulnerable. "Will tomorrow be like today?" "I don't know. Maybe, maybe not." "Are you afraid?" Danny thought about lying, decided against it. "Yeah, sometimes, but you stay anyway." "Yeah, I stay anyway." "Why?" "Because running doesn't fix anything. It just moves the problem somewhere else." Danny looked at each of them. "Your uncle gave me a responsibility. I accepted it. That means something. To me, to your people, to mine." Shira spoke from across the room. "Our father said humans had no honor, that they valued only themselves." "Your father was wrong, but so were humans who said all Crealor were monsters." Danny shifted to face her. "Maybe we've both been wrong about each other. Maybe that's what needs to change." Morning came with sunlight and birdsong. Danny woke to find all three hatchlings still asleep around him. Peaceful, safe for now. His phone buzzed. A message from Helen at the school. Enrollment doubled overnight. Parents requesting transfers specifically to be in class with the Crealor children. The Morrison family withdrew their complaint. "We're going viral for the right reasons." Another message from Linda. "I'm sorry I was scared. I'm still scared, but I watched the ambassador's speech. Watched you on the news. You're braver than I am. Can we talk?" A third message. From the Crealor Embassy. Ambassador Kelleth requests meeting. Wishes to thank you personally. Also discuss long-term arrangements for hatchlings' cultural education. Danny set the phone down. The hatchlings were stirring. Tanak yawned, revealing rows of small teeth. Kravik stretched all four arms. Shira blinked sleep from her eyes. "Morning," Danny said. "Morning," they replied in unison. "Breakfast?" "Yes, please." They moved to the kitchen. Danny made eggs and toast. No burning this time. The hatchlings watched, learning, asking questions, acting like kids instead of soldiers. Through the window, Danny saw other base families starting their day. A few glanced at the duplex, some with suspicion, others with curiosity. One family waved. It wasn't acceptance. Not yet, but it was a start. "What happens now?" Kravik asked, echoing his brother's question from the night before. Danny plated the food. "Now we live. We go to school. We make friends. We figure out how to be a family even though none of us planned for this. And if people attack again, then we deal with it." Together, Danny sat across from them. "Your uncle said your father spoke my name with respect, said I understood sacrifice. I didn't believe him then, but maybe he saw something I didn't. What did he see? That sometimes the hardest battles aren't fought with weapons. They're fought with choices, with standing up when it's easier to walk away." Danny raised his glass of water. "Your father was a warrior. Your mother, too. They fought for what they believed in, died for it. That takes courage." He met each of their eyes. "But so does this. living instead of fighting, building instead of destroying, trusting instead of hating. That takes a different kind of courage. 1. I'm still learning. Will you teach us? Tanak asked, if you'll let me. Kravik raised his cup. Shira and Tanak followed. 4 cups touched in the center of the table. Human and cave lore, guardian and wards, family by circumstance, family by choice. Outside, the sun climbed higher. The base continued its routine. And in a small duplex on the edge of the residential sector, 4 unlikely souls began the long, difficult work of proving that peace was possible. 1 breakfast at a time, 1 day at a time, 1 choice at a time.